You're welcome once again. Let's start from the court. And Accra High Court has closed phase 1 of a running 3-month legal battle between the Multimedia Group and the Licensed Cocoa Buyers Association of Ghana. The association has sought to prevent Joy News from broadcasting a documentary exposing how some cocoa buyers steal cocoa beans by adjusting measuring scales. It claimed the documentary contains unfair and unverified allegations of criminality. But presiding judge, Justice Anthony Aboah, today dismissed the application, saying it will amount to preemptive censorship of unknown material. Joy News' Joseph Blay has more in the following report.
For lawyers of the association, allowing the documentary to air will make them suffer greater hardship. Joy News in February this year had started broadcasting promotional videos, setting the stage for the broadcast of the entire documentary. Investigative journalist Kwete Nate spent months touring various cocoa growing areas and reported what is suspected to be a notorious and widespread practice of deliberate adjustment of measuring scales to rob cocoa farmers of tons of cocoa beans. The injunction application left Multimedia with no choice than to hold on with the broadcast. Justice Anthony Aboah in his decision on Friday said granting the application will amount to preemptive censorship of unknown content. He also stated that the association can be compensated by the Multimedia Group at the end of the substantive case. Lawyer for the Multimedia Group, SAMSON, LARDY, ANYENINI, commended the court for the decision.
The court clearly has held that we were right in the arguments we made in opposition to what we sought to say was a very frivolous application for injunction, and that they were seeking literally to stifle, the media's rights guaranteed in Article 1 of the Constitution. To be able to give information to the public, and a public that is also deserving of knowing, of what is going on.
The court is meanwhile expected to deliver a ruling on an application for dismissal of defamation suit on June 28.
Let's stay on this a while longer because my colleague Kweku Owusu-Pepra, he's with our features and documentary desk. He's joined me in the studio now to tell us more about this documentary by Kwete Nate that got tongues wagging. First though, let's watch a teaser of that documentary and we'll return to have that discussion.
A mastered skill of stealing that keeps the cocoa planter poorer and the produce clerk richer.
The one thing is our skill is not that normal. At times it becomes normal, at times it comes down. So every year they do come and check our skill. That's why I'm surprised about this. So there is a mouse or enter into the skill and also can create that problem.
An age-old canker with purchasing clerks and license buying companies deeply involved. It appears no one wants to talk about it. The adjustment of weighing scales to fleece cocoa growers. But with the income of over 700,000 farmers at stake, someone must lift the lid of the cocoa cartel. Some cannot afford to live in decent houses, but what makes their situation worse is a cartel of cocoa produce clerks who find disingenuous ways to live off the sweat of the poor farmer.
So those were excerpts of the upcoming documentary Missing Kilos by Kwete Nate. My colleague Kweku Owusu-Pepra, he's with the features desk. He joins me in the studio now. Good evening and welcome to see you in the studio.
Thank you, Arva.
Okay, so I mean, this is good news for us, and given that the judge had also stated that the association's action, amounted to, if I may call it, gagging the media. How do you feel about the verdict?
This is victory for good journalism because a lot of hard work was put into this work. Without playing this story, a lot of farmers were going to reel under poverty, and every day of their poverty will enrich somebody else who didn't do much about their work. Now, essentially, this victory tells us that we have the power to go ahead and run this story and get the powers that be to actually work harder at stopping this problem? Because you see, the minister, the CEO of Cocoa Board went to some of these communities, and what he found was that some of these cocoa purchasing clerks were actually doing what Kwetinate's investigations found in these villages. So the ruling today, which allows us to broadcast the story, which essentially quashes the request for injunction to be placed on our documentaries broadcast, is victory to good journalism. It establishes that good journalism can really bring results, and we are hoping that as we come out with this story, a lot of things will change. All
right, quickly, hold on for me, because we have our own lawyer, our very own SAMSON LARDY ANYENINI, who represented Multimedia. Good evening and many thanks for your time, SAMSON.
Hello, Araba.
SAMSON, the judge spoke of censorship, something, you know, a lot of journalists are apprehensive of. You have been involved in the push for the rights of journalists to be projected. What does this decision mean to journalists?
It's certainly a very good one, and we were very clear when we made the arguments to the court. Our arguments were straightforward, and we will continue to make them even on the substantive case itself, because we had informed the court that the case itself is frivolous and that it is only an attempt to do what in the U.S. is known as SLAP, strategic litigation or lawsuit, to prevent public participation. And people carefully take up suits so that they will prevent the journalists from doing their work and work that the Constitution allows them to do in Article 21. Work that Article 162 also allows them to do, and more importantly, not just work that the Constitution allows them to do, but the public, the Constitution says, has a right to know the things that happen and that impinges on their everyday life. So we're very clear about it, and we argue that it will amount to a gagging order and it will not be a good precedent. And the judge simply agreed. And this is a judge who sits in the Human Rights Court. We actually made the argument and used this judge's own previous decision, including a previous decision where this judge allowed citizens the right to obtain information that was not being given. That is the bus branding saga. And the judge went at length to explain in that judgment that if you were seeking information that is public information but is being withheld from the public, the test to use to determine whether the individual or the public deserve the information is to ask the question or apply what's known as the harm test. Will the disclosure of the information harm any public interest? Will the public interest in the disclosure of the information not outweigh the harm that will be caused? And the judge today also repeated the same system, that the disclosure of the information outweighs the public interest. The disclosure of the information outweighs the harm that they claim will be caused. In any case, they do not know the content of the documentary. They have sought to get copies of the documentary so that they will take. And that is where we said that amounts to censorship. When they asked for the full documentary, they were denied. And they are depending on the teaser to say that from what they have heard from the teaser, it's enough for them to know that what is contained in the documentary will be harmful for their business, and that after the documentary has been aired, they are going to lose billions of CDs, and their business will be lost, and all of that. But the judge said the law will stand with the public and the public interest, and that is why it dismissed their injunction application.
Right. Samson, even though we've been given the go-ahead to broadcast the documentary, we do know that we expect it to be back in court. Can you tell us why?
Yes, we will be back in court because the main suit, the substantive case, is pending. And we have placed before the court an application. This is the first time we are making an application. The application that has been dismissed now was made by the plaintiff. Now, we as defendants have made an application telling the court that it should find favor, our application should find favor with the court for it to be, because we take the view that the suit is frivolous and among other, plethora of legal technical reasons that your audience may not appreciate for now. So we have asked the court to dismiss the entire suit because we feel that the suit was filed to give them an opportunity to file for the injunction.
Right.
So that they will just stop and prevent the process.
Right. Many thanks, and that is Samson ANYENINI. He is lawyer in this particular case for the Multimedia company, Multimedia Group. Now, Kweku Superpa is still in the studio with me. Kweku, I guess the question on the lips of everybody now is, when is the documentary going to be aired?
Okay, so the request for injunction stopped us from doing the promos and actual broadcast of the story. Right. Now we need to rehash the whole process. We need to build another promo. We need to, so that this documentary and its title gets the preeminence, a top of mind essence on the mind, on people. So they'll be eager to know more and see more. We'll do in-studio discussions to build a hype. So very soon, I mean, somewhere in June, we're sure to have the documentary on the screens of Joy News and also on radio, on the SMS hotline segment at 8:45.
All right, and it's certainly a must-watch. It's highly anticipated, so do tune in. Thank you very much, Kweku Superpa. He's with our features and documentary desk. Moving on, the Speaker of Parliament has directed Cocoa Board and Food and Agriculture Ministry to issue a disclaimer on Chinese-made cocoa pesticide, Rockstar. The product, which is an imitation, is reportedly being sold to cocoa farmers. Responding to the issue on the floor of Parliament, Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture, Kennedy Osenyako, said the ministry is awaiting a report on investigations into the issue.
It's a registered pesticide in Ghana for use in agriculture sector, particularly for the control of pests in cocoa. It was originally imported from India by West Africa Commodities Company Limited. It was tested by Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana, CREG, registered by the Environmental Protection Agency in September 2016, and listed under the provisional clearance for commercial purposes. This means the license was given for a period of 1 year and might be renewed or fully registered thereafter. Mr. Speaker, according to the EPA, West African Commodity Company Limited in 2017 approached them to have Rockstar fully registered. Samples were therefore presented to EPA for testing by CREG. It was discovered that the Rockstar presented this item around came from a Chinese manufacturer and could therefore not be accepted to be the same as the original one from India that had been tested earlier. The CREG through Cocoa Board duly informed the Ministry of Food and Agriculture and the EPA, who are responsible for the registration and post-registration surveillance of such pesticide, about the development. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture therefore tasked the Cocoa Board to conduct further investigations and the presence of the new Rockstar on the Ghanaian market for action to be taken. The Ministry of Food and Agriculture is awaiting the report of this investigation.
So after a question and answer session On the floor, initiated by MP for Jaboso, Kwabna Minta Akando, the Speaker directed the Agriculture Ministry to ensure the sale of the product is halted until it is approved and certified.
Honourable Minister, if you let the Honourable Minister know that since the report will be ready by end of May, the first Tuesday in June, he should be ready to appear before this House and appraise us of the situation. So the first Tuesday of the month of June, the House would like to know what the report says. In fact, before the close of today, and also draw the attention of the EPA on the pendency of each committee and ask them, as an interim measure, to take steps towards correcting the situation.
Well, in the last few hours, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has just issued a disclaimer on the sale of Rockstar insecticide. We have a copy of that, and it reads, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture announces for the information of the general public and especially cocoa farmers that it has not authorized the sale of Rockstar made in China. This insecticide has not been tested by the Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana and therefore not registered by the Environmental Protection Agency. The ministry therefore warns against any further use of the insecticide and advises all farmers to desist from its use, and is signed by the Honorable Minister, Minister of State Dr. Jieli Nura, Minister of State for the Agric sector. Still in Parliament, MP for Busa South, Clement Apak, is demanding that government makes public the amount it spent on printing 2018 presidential diaries.
When we were in power and we also produced presidential diaries, the then MPP and candidate Akufo-Addo had issues with that. Akufo-Addo alleged that we had spent $10 million to produce presidential diaries. And since he has taken over the reins of this country, this is the second one that they are producing. They produced one for 2017 and one for 2018. So the question is, did it cost them $10 million to produce? Which entity produced the diaries? Was there competitive tendering? And if yes, how many copies were produced? So these are very straightforward, simple questions that I want to ask the President and the Presidency for the sake of transparency and accountability, because it is not proper to accuse your predecessors of an offense that you couldn't justify, and then you go on and also produce a diary. So we want him to come clear and to let the good people of Ghana know how much it costs to produce the 2018 and our 2017 presidential diaries. It's as simple as that.
You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Araba Kumsin. Still to come, Pharmacy Council together with police in Mankasim in the Central Region arrest a woman who is suspected of selling narcotic painkiller tramadol in the market.
This menace of drug, the tramadol, the use of tramadol and other unapproved drugs has become a problem.
We have details when we return. You're welcome back. Now, the Pharmacy Council, together with the police at Mankasim in the Central Region, have arrested a woman suspected of selling narcotic painkiller tramadol in the market. The woman was arrested during an audit of pharmacy shops and market centers in Mankasim. Many pharmacy shops were also cautioned to adhere strictly to instructions concerning the sale of tramadol as the facilities risk closure by the council. Richard Kujunyako was there and has come through with this report.
The exercise started very early in the morning. Many shops at the Mankasim market were searched. At least one woman was arrested for selling tramadol in the open market, contrary to how the drug ought to be sold. Regional Manager of the Pharmacy Council, Apia Akwesi Baafo, tells Joy News the Pharmacy Council will continue to monitor and enforce the laws regarding the usage and sale of drugs.
It is obvious that when you go even on social media, the tramadol menace is here with us, and as a regulator, the Pharmacy Council has embarked on a nationwide operation to help arrest the tramadol menace. We've gone around Mankesim today. We visited the OTCMS facilities. We are now in a pharmacy facility where we realize that they are stocking the right the strength of the tramadol, 50 milligrams. So it is okay. But combing the market too, you realize that we apprehended a woman openly selling this kind of drug, and she's been given to the police to take it out from there. No, we have a roadmap that we are following up. From here, the train will move to other districts, which I wouldn't disclose on air, so that we do the same kind of operation, just to send the message out there that enforcement is on the way, and we are also advising the youth to desist from taking these illicit medicines. So the key words here are enforcement, regulation, and education.
The operations were extended from the Mankesim market to the pharmacy shop, where inspections were also made.
They have stock of tramadol, but it's not illegal. Pharmacy can stock tramadol, and they have the right.
Mankesim District Police Commander DSP Augustine Mensah is urging parents to put taps on their children by checking their activities so they don't get entangled in the abuse of tramadol.
We are very happy that the Pharmaceutical Council is assessing, because this menace of drug, the tramadol, the use of tramadol and other unapproved drugs has become a problem to our youth. So they brought us a letter, and we also give them assurance that we will give them every necessary.
Now, the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry says it is poised to roll out the multilateral mining integrated project as part of government's grand program to address illegal mining in the country. Lands Minister John Peter Amewu revealed processes leading to the lifting of the ban on small-scale mining are far advanced. Well, John Peter Amewu on Friday received a report from the 6-member team commissioned to investigate circumstances leading to the collapse of a tunnel at Newmont Mines Ahafo Mills expansion project site, which killed 6 contract employees.
2 meetings have been held and all chaired by the Chief of Staff. So we are very far advanced in terms of launching the MMIP very soon. But some of the implementations of some contents are already ongoing, like the reclamations, mapping up areas for the small scale, auditing of licenses, which is almost in process. And so a lot of things are already ongoing, and they are all processes leading to the lifting of the ban of the small scale. Yeah. Tomorrow even I'm visiting one of the livelihood projects at site, one of the alternatives, which has to do with the palm seedlings. We have next almost about 2 million seedlings, which can cover almost about 33,000 acres of land. So that will be distributed to the mining communities, and it's part of the alternative livelihood program that we are doing. So
Mr. Amewu says government will not tolerate poor safety practices at mining sites as the lives of workers are on the line. He's urging mining companies and contractors to adhere to acceptable safety standards at the workplace. He adds that government will implement recommendations of the report.
A lesson to especially the mining contractors and the designers of the mines, our engineers, to begin to take issues very seriously. What we have seen over the periods, more like, high level of specifications are taken in countries, and when it comes to our own countries, we reduce the level of specifications. I mean, these things cannot be, if it's something of the same quality, the same specification, we expect that to be done across, because it becomes a standard. If it's a British standard, it's a British standard for everybody, that everybody practice. And so we will take this report very seriously, look at the recommendations, and then get back to you. But
you're watching Joy News Prime. I'm Arba Kumsin. We're taking a break. Business is up next, but stay tuned because we have updates on all the running stories. Plus, our reporter in London brings us the preparations towards tomorrow's wedding of the year.
Thank you very much for staying on business tonight. If you are used to pay 1 pesewa on a 10 Ghana cedi mobile money transfer in the past, you are likely to pay 75 pesewas now under the new mobile money interoperability system. Joy Business Sandy Apenu went around town and said apart from the low knowledge about the system, the platform is relatively expensive as compared with previous charges.
So perhaps the biggest news of the week is the launch of the mobile money interoperability. But what is the understanding on the ground? Do people really know about this new system, which is the mobile money interoperability? And a lot of people have also raised concerns about the charges. What is your experience? We're on the streets to find out.
I just haven't tried it. I mean, it's something new that's just came into the system, so I haven't tried it yet.
I've not heard about it.
I just came from Ivory Coast last week, so I'm just new in Ghana. So.
For some, even the name is a mouthful.
Mobile money interoperability.
Sorry?
Interoperability.
Hey. Mobile money interoperability? Not Sorry? Exactly, no.
Sorry?
Mobile money interoperability or what?
I wouldn't try it.
Although the mobile money interoperability has generated public debate, especially among politicians, it appears public knowledge about the system is low. Some mobile money merchants are yet to even try the platform. I'm not aware it started. Daniel, another mobile money service provider, says he's awaiting clearance from the service providers before testing the new system.
The function is not on my merchant chip, and I have not heard any news from NTN that it's possible, because normally the way we are trained, the functions they train us on, that is what we still have. So if there's any change, they will still notify us and tell us how it works.
With the previous mobile money system, one would have paid just 10 pesewas for 10 cedis transfer and 20 pesewas for 20 cedis. What it means is that currently consumers are charged 75 pesewas for any service from 1 cedi to 50 cedis, while from 51 cedis to 100 cedis will attract 1 cedi 50 pesewas. 1,000 to 5,000 cedis attracts a service charge of 15 cedis. With this system, it means the less transaction you make, the more money you pay, and vice versa. The Ghana Interpayment and Settlement System GIPS, managers of the system, however, says these charges are beyond their mandate.
There were various discussions about pricing, and which resulted in the pricing that has been implemented as of now. Of course, the other pricing mechanisms or the rates that you are referring to are prices that are happening outside the interoperability space.
Mobile money interoperability is a system that allows mobile money customers send money across all networks. The system also allows mobile money customers move money from their mobile money accounts to bank and vice versa. The second phase is expected to start next month and will include the eSwitch platform. The system is expected to enhance financial inclusion as the country's payment system is formalized to make electronic payments easier.
We are promising to be the best in the general health and wellness industry as we gear up for the Joy Business Health and Wellness Trade Show, which is only 6 days away. One of the health facilities you are going to see at the event is a Nova Health Center. We'll be learning more about the facility.
I have always, since my childhood, had an affinity for healthcare. So I knew I was going to be a doctor, but I didn't know which area I was going to specialize in. So during my undergrad in Canada, I came across chiropractic as a profession. I was a patient myself, and I just felt like, wow, it helped me so much. This is something that a lot of Ghanaians have no idea about, and that is when I decided that one day I would move back to Ghana to practice myself as a chiropractor. So,
and she did. On the 28th of May 2013, Dr. Na Ashley Dodo opened the Nova Chiropractic Health Center, now Nova Wellness Center.
Primarily, we're looking at the spine. Now, there are a lot of spinal issues that come up from bad posture, car accidents, falls, slips, childbirth. Lots of things we do on our daily activities put a lot of stress on the spine. So what I focus on is to find where the spinal misalignments are, and then we use our hands to realign the spinal bones. So the purpose is to remove any nerve pressure so that information can go from the brain throughout the spinal cord to the entire body. So we don't use any drugs, we don't perform any surgery. It's a natural healthcare practice, and the primary focus is to remove nerve pressure so that the body functions at 100%.
Nova, within 5 years, has moved from treating 20 patients to about 70 patients a day. Dr. Dodo tells us the wellness industry in Ghana is growing. Nova Wellness Center aims to inspire people to live healthy, fulfilling lives free of excessive drug usage. The facility was adjudged Best Health SME Provider in 2017, but that has not been without challenges, for instance to do with capital and the lack of human resource. Dr. Dodo is hopeful about the future of the industry. She looks forward to the Joy Business Health and Wellness Trade Show, which kickstarts on the 24th of this month.
I'm so excited for this. I've been looking forward to it ever since I was told about it, and I think it's about time. A lot of people don't even know what is out there. A lot of people, we're very traditional as Ghanaians, so when you're sick, you know, you have to go to the hospital, you get medication, and that's it. And this is going to give all Ghanaians an opportunity to learn about different health and wellness centers, different programs, the digital things like the doctor on the app and all that. So I think it's an excellent way, and also to bring people into this profession.
So don't forget to be part of the Joy Business Health and Wellness Trade Show. Now, away from that, business owners in Ghana have been advised to employ locals to promote the local content agenda. Speaking to Joy Business in an interview, CEO of Golden Mainland Ghana Limited, Zoyo Chow, highlighted the need for employers to prioritize the recruitment of natives to foster national growth. She spoke with Joy Business ahead of the 3rd edition of the Ghana CEO Summit, which will enable global and local chief executives to integrate and interact in order to foster knowledge acquisition, partnerships, and synergies that can drive organizational growth.
Well, as foreign company here, I highly vouch for local empowerment. It's not easy, don't take me wrong, that it takes you, like I said, initially a lot more time to understand the local terrain. But my companies, the various companies I'm heading, the localization is, I would say 99%, because I'm the only foreigner aspect in the company. I believe in the capabilities, the talents. I've seen so many young people, they're so talented, and whoever dare to stand in front of me and tell me that Ghanaians are lazy and they are not professional, they can't, they do not, they're not unwilling, I will condemn their opinions right away, because I haven't, well, obviously there are frustrations, but I haven't come across such huge failures. If you spend time, it's about every leader, even Ghanaian leaders themselves. If you spend enough time with your people, if you understand them, if you are willing to train them and to elevate them, give them chances, then all the workers, if I may say, I will appreciate Ghanaian local workers compared to, let's say, so-called aspects, because this ground is their home. You are at your home, you want to develop yourself, become somebody. The aspects I'm bringing in, their goal is to have something here, maybe a higher salary, better compensation, and eventually go back their home. Then a home, you know, is home sweet home is the best thing for anyone who want to be there.
President of the World Cocoa Foundation, Richard Scobie, has praised the efforts of the Ministry of Agriculture and the Cocoa Board for their effective collaboration with the private sector to ensure that cocoa continues to be a profitable venture. In an interview with Adom News at the Tropical Forest Alliance 2020 series of events in Accra, Richard Scobie advocated a further enhanced collaboration to overcome the decline in world prices recently.
The Ministry of Agriculture and the Cocoa Board are very committed to strengthening the incentives for cocoa farming and making sure that cocoa becomes again a profitable exercise compared to other crops. There had been a decline in the world prices for cocoa over the past year and a half because of global oversupply, which was creating problems for Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire and all cocoa farmers around the world. But the global supply has been stabilized and prices have increased. So I think we'll see cocoa farming being attractive again to the population. We think it's very important for the farmers and the government to collaborate with the private sector on improving yields. Ghana has maintained some of the lowest yields of cocoa around the world, about 400 to 500 kilos per hectare. With very straightforward and low-cost improvements, the Ghana farmers could be doubling that and getting 800 kilos to 1 ton from their farms. So the private sector wants to work with the farmers and with government to introduce improved planting material, work together to train farmers on good agricultural practices, and to promote fertilization and other organic manure.
In business tonight on Joy News Prime. Thank you so much for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. We are here, but for more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Have a great weekend.
You're welcome back. Now, one person died in an accident on the Accra-TEMA motorway this afternoon. An Accra-bound Sprinter bus hit a street light after bursting a rear tire, killing one of its occupants. There was no ambulance to immediately convey victims to the hospital, as the only emergency response post at the Accra end of the motorway was reportedly closed. Joy News' Maxwell Agrapa, who was at the scene, reports some passers-by had to intervene and perform CPR to keep some of the victims alive.
The traffic here at the TEMA motorway has started moving. It wasn't the case about 30 minutes ago when occupants of the Sprinter vehicle were lying on the shoulders of the road. Still here, though, are the many personal possessions belonging to the occupants of the vehicle. Also splattered here on the floor previously was the blood of some of the victims. That has been cleaned by personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service.
The Sprinter was coming from Ashaiman, heading towards La Paz. So on the way, it burst the back tire. So when it burst the back tire, the controlling of the steer became a problem for the driver. So it hit one of the street lights on the motorway. So some of the passengers on board started screaming in the car, and then some came through the windscreen, and then one person just fell from the car and then on the motorway. So the rest were seriously injured, and then they were lying on the floor. So we called the police, called the ambulance, called the fire service. Nobody was coming, and nobody was willing to help too. My brother, for almost 30 minutes, roughly 15 to 20 to 30 minutes. So this is why we are calling on the government to do something about this ambulance thing. Because we need ambulance. The whole of this motorway, not even a single ambulance. My brother, it's serious. It's very, very serious. Because it can happen to you, it can happen to me too. So please, when you guys go, you guys should talk to them. The ambulance is very, very serious. We need an ambulance on this motorway. Because nobody was willing to pick the dead body and those injured. Nobody was willing. Everybody was just passing.
Ambulances, because of accident or any incident, when you travel or you walk into the Accra, then if you make wrong driving and you get an accident, then you need an ambulance on it immediately to take a person to hospital or any Any hospital does it. Yeah. So that's why we need an ambulance every time on the road.
You're welcome back. Now, the Tesano police has arrested 2 men suspected to be involved in visa fraud. The two, 48-year-old Kwabena Idweje and 33-year-old Samuel Abiato, are alleged to have collected over 5,000 cedis from the victim under the pretext of securing a visa for him. Addressing a news conference on Friday, Tesano Divisional Police Commander, Chief Superintendent Udru Amwening, asked the public to be wary of fraudsters.
The 16th May, someone came to the station and reported that some people have collected his money with the intention of acquiring a visa for him to enable him travel to Germany since November last year. And now all effort to trace the people to get even his passport has proved futile because he's not getting the visa. He won the passport for other things and yet he's not getting it. So we went into it. We had one, Kwabena Idweje, who is a pastor and lives at Asofa. Ablato Samuel, who is also a trader and lives at Niboy town. And Paul Edusei, who is now at large. Complainant complained that they charge him 12,000 Ghana cedis and he has paid 5,750 to them. Afterwards, he will give them the balance, but he's not getting them, so he won action from the police. So we move in and then we had 2 people arrested. They are now in police custody helping in investigation. Yeah, the advice I'm giving to the general public is they should be careful and wary of these people because there are a lot of them in the system, but only they've not been caught. So.
Now, the National Commission for Civic Education is the latest to condemn recent clashes between police and military officers in the northern region. Chairperson of the Commission, Josephine Nkrumah, warns citizens could lose confidence in the security agencies if such recklessness and unfortunate behaviors are not curtailed. She was addressing personnel of the Ghana Police Service at the 25th National Constitution Week Forum in Accra. Joy News' Charity Bartels has more in this report.
The attack on police officers by some soldiers in Tamale reportedly left many residents scared and worried about their safety. The NCCE is warning the police service and military risk losing the confidence citizens have in them if they continue to be lawless.
What is happening to the trust that we repose in the police? In the last few days, we've had terrible news about clashes between 2 security agencies that are critical to law and order, that are critical to defending the sovereignty of this land. Why should it come to that? Are we not abiding by the rule of law? Do we take the law into our own hands just because we have a weapon? I think not.
The Director General in charge of administration at the Ghana Police Service, COP Opong Buanu, says police officers will undergo training on international best standards of operations.
When certain things come up, how you deal with it also depends on how you are trained. So as part of these measures, we are training, for example, if you look at the MTU, we are retraining them as to how to go about their duties, how to fight crime, and how to attend to situations that come. We are also, in collaboration with ARAP, revising our regulations, because some of them are a bit archaic. So we are bringing them up to the modern standards so that we introduce international best practices.
Meanwhile, the chairperson of NCCE, Josephine Nkrumah, believes the country can better fight corruption if citizens pay serious attention to core values of their various professions.
After 25 years, for me, what are the ills in this society? I think the fundamental for me is the values that we have as a people. What values do we hold dear? What are the values that underpin our actions? Character is cardinal to everything that we do. What does discipline mean to us? These are key values that build societies. And until we consciously, deliberately, and with purpose teach these values, these ills will continue to be with us.
The National Commission for Civic Education is optimistic as the country celebrates 25 years of uninterrupted constitutional rule. Various stakeholders, including security agencies, will work together to ensure rule of law is respected and citizens are well protected. Charity Mehel-Batel reporting for Joy News.
Now, a deputy chief of staff escaped death Friday morning after one of the vehicles in the presidential convoy was involved in an accident. Francis ASENSO-BOAKYE survived after an articulated truck ran into the presidential convoy around 1:45 a.m. at Konongo in the Ashanti region. One side of the vehicle he was traveling in was mangled. The president, who is safe, was on his way to the Bono-Ahafo region for a 3-day working visit. Communications Director at the Presidency, Eugene Ahin, tells Joy News Ms. ASENSO-BOAKYE has been treated and discharged.
As a unit, the president was part of the convoy at the time. I think we left the office sometime around 11:30 p.m. That's after finishing cabinet. We left, we were on our way to Kumasi when the incident happened. So yes, the president was part of the convoy when it happened.
But his vehicle wasn't touched by this articulated truck, was he?
Oh no, no, his vehicle was well ahead. You know, with the way the convoy is structured, he's well away, and then the rest of us are also back there. So it was the vehicle of the deputy chief of staff who was nowhere near that of the president's vehicle, nowhere near at all.
And I'm just wondering, knowing how the presidential convoy moves, there's a lot of advanced vehicles, police, sometimes even military that accompany him. Yes. How did this articulated driver manage to escape when he's involved with an accident that involved the presidential convoy? Nobody chased him up?
You know, probably maybe, let's say, with regards to what happened to the deputy chief of staff, it's now probably maybe a little bit understandable how sometimes some of these accidents happen, especially at that time of the night. Most of these articulated vehicles, unfortunately, ply these roads without any regard for oncoming vehicles, without any regard for motorcades or the president's. I mean, without any regard completely. I mean, this was after the president's vehicle had moved out of sight. You have this articulated truck. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, just get back into the road, and unfortunately, at that time, it was the vehicle of the deputy chief of staff that was in the way, and it completely ripped off his side of the vehicle. I mean, pressed almost all the tires. I'm sure you've seen the pictures.
Yes, I have seen the pictures.
Yes, it's a situation we'd have to address, because it looks like the lawlessness on the roads. I mean, especially at that time of the night. I mean,
Now, Acting General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party, John BOADU, has jumped to the defense of the party's acting national chairman, Freddie Blay, on his campaign promise of purchasing a bus for every constituency. The acting national chairman, Freddie Blay's comments on Asempa FM's Ekosiseng political talk show program a few days ago attracted a barrage of criticism from the media and especially civil society organization Ghana Integrity Initiative. His comments were interpreted as having the tendency of vote buying of the delegates in the upcoming national elections. But speaking to Joy News' political correspondent Kwesi Parker-Wilson, John BOADU explained that even though the proposal is an individual's initiative, the plan will be executed and funded by the party.
Broader constituency executives. That's why some are also talking about providing buses. This is an arrangement that the party, through private initiative, is acquiring these vehicles to be run by a transport agency or transport.
So it's not like it's an individual initiative.
No, it is not.
Seeking to
it is an individual.
No.
It is an individual initiative, but it is not going to come from individual pockets and to be run by individuals. No. What the party is doing through with the national chairman, that is Honorable Freddie Blay, is to put together a vehicle that will enable us acquire these buses to be run by one of these renowned transport institution on behalf of the constituencies, so that at the end of every month the revenue that is generated, part to be used to repay the cost of procuring the vehicle, and the profit realized will be given to the constituencies. Then for about 2.5 years, depending on the arrangement, we'll be able to pay off the cost of the buses. Then the buses become the property of the constituency. These and other initiatives are being put together in order to ensure that our constituencies are run on their own with little support from region and national.
John BOADU also weighed in on the party's former communications director, Nana Komia's recent comments that the NPP may end up electing persons from the Akan ethnic group to lead the party.
If he had waited to see the people that put in application and those that mustered the courage to file, you will have realized that there are lots more people coming from other regions of our country. Nobody prevented anybody from picking up forms or from filing to contest for any of the positions. It is for that reason that we've even gone further to make provision for other positions in the party that help us to take care of what the election could not achieve. Because whether you like it or not, the positions are available for contest. Chairman, 3 vice chairman, that's 3, general secretary 4, treasurer 5, national organizer 6, youth 7, women and that's just 9. We have 10 regions. So whether you like it or not, you have all the regions represented as a result of elections. That is where even you are getting 1 from each region. It is also possible that you get 2 coming from 1 region. It is the decision of the electorate. And nobody can decide that the electorate should vote in one way or the other. But we have an arrangement in the party where we can supplement that shortfall as a result of the election, and by bringing other people who are also competent from other regions to complement the effort. So I think that we've done that over the years.
Now, managers of the Kumasi City Mall say none of the malls in Accra can beat the only mall in the Garden City with their modern specifications. There was a lot of excitement when it was opened to the public a year ago. Since its opening, residents of Kumasi and neighboring towns say it has been of immense benefit to them. Here's what my colleague Bernice Abubedu found when she visited the Ashanti regional capital.
Welcome to Kumasi, the second most populated city in Ghana, rich in culture and tradition, and a lot of lovely people around. Now, if you visited Kumasi a couple of years ago and you asked for sites to visit, you'll be directed to the Kumasi Museum or the Menchia Palace or the Kumasi Zoo. There's an addition to that list, and that's, guess what? The Kumasi City Mall. Let's head there.
Located in Asokwa, a suburb of Kumasi, the mall covers a land size of about 15 acres, has 66 shops, an underground parking space and natural ventilation. But this mall isn't mere brick and mortar. It represents something more, a beautiful space for trade, networking and pleasure. The people of Kumasi love it here, so they come in hundreds every day to the biggest and arguably most modern mall in Ghana. There was a rich display of culture at the official opening of the mall. The presence of the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II was enough evidence of the importance of the city's newfound love. President Akufo-Addo was there to lend his support.
During the official opening of the shopping center, President Akufo-Addo challenged management to ensure that Ghanaian products were sold. A year on, what has changed? Has management lived up to that expectation? At the time, 5% of goods sold in Ghanaian malls were from local entrepreneurs.
John Bedu Bonsu is manager of the mall.
The very, very local, as in done in Kumasi, I think it's about 40%. But if you talk about local shop owners, that's about 95% or 96% are Kumasi people. This is now like a monument in Kumasi. Nobody comes to Kumasi without coming here.
Every inch of this floor is tolerated, but business has been good since His Royal Majesty opened it to the public. So how has this famous mall impacted the lives of patrons?
At first it was difficult. On weekends at times I to take your kid too. But when the mall came, I always come on weekends with my kid.
So America credit me yare. Na me free to be able to be a for be that me ba tia na me to me me nana no bi come on na ma for mo ama ye bene na ma na etietie nwum ne ade a me kwa bi ti bi da.
It has become a very big platform for us to socialize, meet nice people.
I have little cousins at home. They used to disturb very much, but now because of the mall, especially the case gallo, I bring them here just for them to be entertained.
This mall is really huge, but sometimes, especially on weekends, it feels as if the whole of Kumasi is in it, and there's nearly no space at all for anyone. Well, managers are planning to expand this mall, so those in Accra who told residents of Kumasi because you were robbed of your bragging rights, brace yourselves.
This is actually the phase 1. When we are done with the phase 2, it's going to be the biggest mall in West Africa, in Africa actually. Our dream is to do the phase 2, if possible build another mall and another mall and another mall, and then we get to the level where, I'm not saying we get rid of our local markets, but then we merge, like there's a synergy between the local markets and the mall.
If you followed the opening of the Kumasi City Mall and events after, you'd remember the escalator craze. Quite a number of videos and photos popped up on social media showing people struggling to use the escalator. And there was even one showing a goat in a mall. Well, not all of those photos and videos were from the Kumasi City Mall, but here's how managers dealt with the escalator issue.
We've never had an escalator in Kumasi, that's on record. So obviously there will be challenges, it's just natural. Basically what we did was we had to place security men there to direct them where to go. So now when you want to go down, they direct you where to go. So we actually encourage them. When I see you going down the stairs, oh, why not take the escalator? Like, I can't take it. Oh, let me help you. Then I help the person on. And then they really like it. They go like 4 times, you know, just to have more of the experience.
A year on, using the escalator is not a big deal for many patrons. During my stay here, I saw a little girl easily using the escalator and teaching her friend how to.
Unarguably, the Kumasi City Mall has had a lot of impact. You've heard from patrons themselves. Well, if you haven't visited here yet, or you happen to be in the city but have not yet visited the famous escalator I'm on now, you may just want to do that. Guess what I found? The culture of Jamasi. Good to see you,
how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
And you're looking great.
Thank you. So are you?
You are in the case here.
Yeah. Crazy.
Okay.
Escalator, you see, Kumasi.
And you know, credit that.
Show them how we do it here.
All right. So you go in there and fly away, oh, fly away, baby, do fly away.
headlines, and Accra High Court gives Joy News the go-ahead to broadcast a documentary detailing theft of cocoa beans as it dismisses application for injunction filed by Licensed Cocoa Buyers Association. Pharmacy Council, together with police in Mankisim in the Central Region, arrest a woman suspected of selling narcotic painkiller tramadol. Lands and Natural Resources Minister assures the multilateral mining integrated project will be rolled out soon as part of government's grand plan to address the illegal mining menace in the country. In business, a week after the mobile money interoperability system was launched, some users are raising questions about the service charges under the new system.